Hello, my loves. Welcome to our Witchy chat video. We always seem to do these around the Sabbaths, and tomorrow is Midsummer. So, blessed Midsummer solstice to you if you observe that. Okay, we're going to talk about books that I'm currently reading, and I'm going to start this by saying that I'm about to reference several books on, well, not several, 3 books on the dark feminine and Lilith and Babylon. I've definitely been in a place of exploring that. So many of you have purchased goddess offerings through my Etsy shop that involve Lilith and other faces of the dark feminine. And of course, I did an interview with Tarot Shrink recently where we talked a lot about the dark feminine. And Tarot Shrink just uploaded a video on the dark feminine. And so I'm going to put the link to that video down below in the description box in case you want to check out her deck recommendations for connecting with the dark feminine. But I just want to preface this by saying I've definitely been in a dark feminine mood in exploring that and really looking at how at multiple stages of our lives as women, we kind of have to go back to the drawing board when it comes to how we're experiencing the dark feminine and ways in which we can be subjugated or allow ourselves to be complicit in that subjugation. And so I think as I approach my 40s now, I've really looked at this year as a new way of engaging with the dark feminine and feeling empowered in regards to the dark feminine for myself. So it's definitely been what I've been focused on in my personal work, on my spiritual path, but also in my work as a priestess. That, as I said, so many offerings have been purchased recently have been in dedication to Lilith or other faces of the dark feminine. And I think a lot of us are feeling a call to allow ourselves to feel vital and alive when it comes to these aspects of the dark feminine. So I will speak to those 3 books in a moment, or I'm sorry, I guess I only have 2, but one of them is the dark masculine. So, excuse me. The first thing that I want to speak of that I'm actually reading now is Phantasmagoria. Now, I have read this guidebook so many freaking times. I said on the channel recently that this book is really like the Bible to me, and that, so I grew up having to read the Bible cover to cover and study it. Daily was preferred, but definitely weekly, right? And I will say this for the Bible, that every time you reread something, you pick up something new, right? I think any work that we have a lot of emotion, that has a lot of history attached to it, tends to be very informative as a reading experience, but also like eye-opening, and it can be intense and emotional, right? We have these dynamics with certain books, with certain written words, right? And Phantasmagoria, much like the Bible for me, except I actually want to read this book. Every time I reread it, I find something new. I find new kernels of wisdom, new references that I'm like, I have read this book at least 10 times at this point. And how did I miss that the first go around? So I've kind of refocused on every morning studying passages from the guidebook, whether that is from daily draws or just acquainting myself with the beginning of the introduction and the more occult references that occur at the beginning of Phantasmagoria by Ian Daniels. So if you are looking for something that allows you to access occultism, that allows you to connect with various aspects of tarot, including Rider-Waite-Smith, Thoth, Boda, Order of the Golden Dawn, this is such a great reference for that, and it's so powerful and impactful that even if you don't want to work with tarot of vampires, I recommend purchasing that deck just because you get this guidebook with the deck, and there's so much wisdom for you to access through working with this guidebook. So yeah, I'm rereading it. I know it's been on many lists of mine over the years, but it's so powerful. There's so many gems in here. And it really is it very much encourages you to be in the main role in your own story. You know, where is your point of power in any given situation? Where is your self-awareness? Where's your intuitive awareness of an experience? This book is really, really special. There's so many layers to it. So I've been rereading Phantasmagoria and really freaking loving it. I'm going to talk about 2 fiction books that I'm reading, and then I'm going to go to more of the dark feminine. So I have definitely been in a reading mood this late spring as we approach early summer here. It has been so, as you can tell, so cold and so gray here. I mean, I am still wearing long sleeves for the most part every day. When I go for my morning run, it's chilly, it's damp, it's very humid. It has just not been a typical New England summer. The funny thing is that I spent so much of my life like not liking summer, and due to Vincent, my son, last year we spent so much time at the beach, outside in the sun, and I got a tan for the first time in my life. And I also really just discovered this joy of being outside in the heat. For the first time in my life, I typically haven't liked the heat. I like spring, and I specifically, most especially, love fall. It will always be my favorite season. But through Vincent's eyes and being his mom, I've really come to love summer. And so it's funny that I finally found this love affair with this season that I've detested my whole life. And now it's like we don't actually have summer here. So my reading list has been a little bit different. I tend to get a little like lusty and sexy reading wise in the summer. And you know, I want books that are kind of short and horror focused and based. But that really hasn't been so much of my vibe this season because it has just been so dreary and cold. Although I do have a really great horror novel that's just come out. Actually, I think it's probably on its way to me now because I think it came out yesterday. That I am very excited to read, but I'm going to put that on my late summer reading list because I need to finish these 2 first. So anyhow, I say, you know, what's going on with the weather and how cold and chilly and just gray and rainy it's been here because it really just doesn't feel like summer. It feels like early spring, you know, like we were lucky today. I think we get up to 62 degrees. Like normally it's in the 80s this time of year. So it's been very different. And I feel kind of stuck in a perpetual drizzly April vibe, you know? So my reading choices are a little bit more of a winter into spring vibe than typical. So I have been reading The Wishing Game by Meg Shaffer. And I will read to you what this is about. So Lucy Hart knows better than anyone what it's like to grow up without parents who loved her. In a childhood marked by neglect and loneliness, Lucy found her solace in books, namely the Clock Island series by Jack Masterson. Now a 26-year-old teacher's aide, Lucy is able to share her love of reading with bright young students, especially 7-year-old orphan Christopher Lamb. Lucy would give anything to adopt Christopher, but even the idea of becoming a family seems like an impossible dream without proper funds and stability. Just when Lucy is about to give up, Jack Masterson announces he's finally written a new book. Even better, he's holding a contest at his home on the real Clock Island, and Lucy is one of the 4 lucky contestants chosen to compete to win the one and only copy. For Lucy, the chance of winning the most sought-after book in the world means everything to her and Christopher, but first she must contend with ruthless book collectors, wily opponents, and the distractingly handsome and grumpy Hugo Reese, the illustrator of the Clock Island books. Meanwhile, Jack, the mastermind Masterson, is plotting the ultimate twist ending that could change all their lives forever. So it kind of seems like a whodunit little adventure story. I'm only a few pages in and the start is very sweet and it seems like it's going to be cute. I don't know if I'm going to love it or not, but I'm intrigued. And to be completely 100% honest with you, I do participate in Book of the Month Club, and this was one of the offerings, and I just figured, I'll give it a try. You know, it kind of felt like cup of tea, sit on the couch, and read in the dreary weather. So, and it definitely so far seems like that's how it's going to be. But as I said, I'm only a few pages in. I haven't really, you know, dove into it to give you like a full here are my thoughts. Here's what I think you're gonna like. So I'm probably gonna say his name wrong. I should have looked up how to pronounce it before I started this video. Oh well, single parent life. You have these thoughts and then sometimes you don't get to complete it. This is The Lincoln Highway by Amor Towles. I apologize if I am mispronouncing his name. A Gentleman in Moscow I loved. So I have read his work before and I find him very thought-provoking, and I am someone who, as you guys know, I love history. Like, I have a low-key obsession with turn of the century America, with the First World War, the Second World War, late 1800s into early 1900s, the Industrial Revolution, like all of that kind of stuff I find endlessly fascinating. And I just feel like it's another thing where like you never really learn all that there is to learn about those time periods. And I am someone who honestly does believe that we learn a lot by looking at our past, hence my affinity for shadow work. So I'm really excited to read this one. And it's a yummy one. It's gonna be a nice, it's gonna take me a nice hot minute to finish this one. So I will read this too. I have not started this yet. It's going to be the next one that I start once I finish the Wishing Game, or I might read them in tandem, because I do also have to say, while sometimes I enjoy fluff, I tend to prefer meatier books in general. And I think a lot of that has to do with just my childhood and the type of reading I was doing at a very young age. Some of the more modern day contemporary writers just don't always like 100%. It doesn't always 100% resonate. But like Alex Harrow, V.E. Schwab, like I love their style. So, you know, it doesn't apply across the board, but I certainly like a little more meditative, reflective, intensive works in general. I still like my fluff sometimes though, as you know. Okay, so this one is, in June 1954, 18-year-old Emma Watson is driven home to Nebraska by the warden of the juvenile work farm, where he has just served 15 months for involuntary manslaughter. His mother long gone, his father recently deceased, and the family farm foreclosed upon by the bank, Emmett's intention is to pick up his 8-year-old brother Billy and head to California, where they can start their lives anew. But when the warden drives away, Emmett discovers that 2 friends from the work farm have hidden themselves in the trunk of the warden's car. Together, they have hatched an altogether different plan for Emmett's future, one that will take them all on a fateful journey in the opposite direction, to the city of New York. Spanning just 10 days and told from multiple points of view, Towles' 3rd novel will satisfy fans of his multi-layered literary styling, while providing them an array of new and richly imagined settings, characters, and themes. So, yes, this one I am so excited for. Okay, so that's my what I'm reading now, what I'm about to start reading, and then these are all current reads for me. The Red Goddess, I just got those, so I actually haven't started, but I intend to start sinking my teeth into her tonight. So this is The Red Goddess. Oh my God, help me here, please. Peter Gray, thank you. I'm like, oh God, I forgot his name. This is The Red Goddess by Peter Gray. Again, Tarot Shrink and Jess Reads Cards on Instagram. All of the women that I love following have been reading this. And so I think Tiara May has posted about it too. So I figured I needed to get on board and get to reading. It'll be interesting to see how he speaks of these faces of the dark feminine. I definitely have my own preconceived notions around the Book of Revelations, Babylon, Lilith, Ishtar, Inanna. I do feel I work with a lot of these faces of deity personally, and so I definitely have my own bias, but it's always interesting to learn more about the history, especially the academic history of specific deity, you know, taking everything as always with a grain of salt and engaging in critical thinking for ourselves. So I'm intrigued to read The Red Goddess. Now I have started. These 2 books are thanks to a wonderful student of mine. She has just helped me to buy some really beautiful, lovely things. But these are both by Troy Books. And okay, I didn't need to start a new book collecting edition. I have enough Taurus addictions in my life. But these books are so, I paid not quite the highest for each of these copies, the highest price point, but kind of in the midpoint mark. And I have to say, it is really delicious to hold a well-bound, crafted book it's kind of really yummy. Like the difference to this as opposed to this now, yeah, I'm getting a little bit spoiled here. But I am in the middle of reading the Canticles of Lilith by Nicholaj and Katy, Nicholaj, Mattos, and Katy Frisvold. This is really good so far. I'm really, really enjoying it. And this is the red version of this book. Yeah, I'm about 42 pages in. So far, I'm really enjoying it. In some ways, it does reference heavily biblical texts and esoteric occult texts, obviously. And the style I really enjoy, much like Satanic Feminism or Children of Lucifer. I like that kind of thesis writing. I know it's dry for some people and not enjoyable. So if you don't enjoy that, then this may not be your book of choice, but it is a nice examination of Lilith from a witchcraft perspective, I would say. So this is the Canticles of Lilith again. And then I also purchased The Devil's Dozen, 13 Craft Rights of the Old One by Gemma. This is also by Troy Books. Again, I'm getting spoiled with the beautiful edition here. But I really purchased it because any time you can connect with, ritual and historical examinations of honoring Satan the Devil, who is the old one here that we're referencing, I'm down for reading that, examining it. And it's really beautifully illustrated as well. Let me just show you, like, just beautifully illustrated. So again, this is The Devil's Dozen, and I am really, really looking forward to getting a chance to sink my teeth fully into that baby. But that's my reading list right now, guys. I'm really in like an occult studying mood and just trying to, you have those times where like you need things to be fun, and then you have those times when you want to study and you want to learn and you want to feel like you're growing with your intellectual studies and learning. And I have to say, I've really been thinking about, sorry guys, I'm drinking a kombucha, which by the way, I don't know if you guys like kombucha, the Island Bliss one. Oh, it's so good. I'm just saying that's what I'm drinking, and it's really yummy. It's making me wish, that it was warm enough here to wear a tank top and sit outside in the sun. But what was I saying, guys? Oh, I'm a little bit rambly today. I haven't done a rambly video in a little while. Oh yeah, so I have noticed over the last year, social media is like a necessary evil, right? But sometimes, man, when you are like going through it, you can find that you start scrolling too much. And I just really do not want to engage in that because I feel like I get dumber. And there's something about reading more study works where I feel like I have to pay attention and focus. That's actually really calming for me, and it does allow me to feel like I'm educating myself and I'm getting smarter, not stupider. So I've really been in the vibe of wanting to explore that, and I think, in this past winter I needed to lighten things up a little bit for myself, but now I'm back in that space of really wanting to be studying, really wanting to be learning, to be growing, to opening up my mind, and to looking at those occult and esoteric roots that are the foundation for a lot of my practice, especially when it comes to tarot. And all of those things kind of have roots, not kind of, but they do have roots in biblical publications and works. And so it's also a way of like coming full circle in regards to my childhood as well. So that's my rambly video, guys. That's what I'm reading right now. Let me know what you guys are reading. Give me some recommendations if you think I'd enjoy anything that you're studying right now. As you guys know, as always, I am sending you so much love and many blessings. I'll see you in the next video.